If there's one thing that can make any car look better, it's definitely proper fitment. But not everybody can spend the money to get a full new set of wheels, or you might just like your stock wheels. So today we're going to be going over how you can choose the right size of spacers for your car and how you can install them.
Now let's move on to the different types of spacers that are out there.
So when it comes to spacers, there's two main types of spacers to look at. There's LUT-centric spacers and there's hub-centric spacers. Now let's start with LUT-centric spacers. So LUT-centric spacers are basically just a washer that goes in between your wheel and your hub. These are not known to be very safe because they don't really mount correctly and they kind of just get held together by the bolts just being pinched down, which is definitely not ideal. But on the other hand, there's hub-centric spacers. Now the main difference with hub-centric spacers is that hub-centric spacers use this ring that fits securely around your hub. This just basically makes sure that it stays seated at all times and it's safer for your car. Now while there is some debate on if spacers are good for your car or not, I personally think that if you go with hub-centric spacers from a decent brand, that you'll be okay.
Here are the benefits of using spacers.
A couple benefits of spacers would basically just be the better look that you get from having proper fitment, and also a wider track width, which is going to help you handle a little bit better.
Now that we got all that out of the way, let's move on to how you can measure what size spacers you need. So all you're going to need to do this is measuring tape, some painter's tape, and a coin. So first of all, you want to start off by ripping off a piece of painter's tape, and then you want to stick your coin to the end of it. The coin's going to act as a weight, so next we're going to stick this onto our quarter panel. And it was a little bit windy when I was filming this, so I just held it down gently to make sure the tape wasn't bent. And then for my rears, I needed a 15mm, and for my fronts, I needed a 12mm. So now let's move on to actually installing your spacers. Installing these is super simple and you only need a couple of basic tools. To start off, let's lift our car up.
Next you want to grab an impact wrench, a socket for your car, for my car it's 17, and then also the wheel lock if you have one. Next you want to change your gun to loosen, and then just use your wheel lock. And there we go. Then you want to grab your spacer set and open it up. Now with every set, it's going to come with a little bit of anti-seize. So you want to make sure to use this so that the spacers don't get stuck on your car and then later you have a hard time removing them. Now if you do have a wire wheel, it's definitely ideal to polish this down to get off all the corrosion. But I don't have one and I'm only going to be using these for a short time before I switch to my winter tires, so I'm just going to leave it for now. So now you want to open up your package of anti-seize and just put it a little bit around your hub. And there we go. Now we're going to put on our spacer, just line it up with your lug nuts. And then it comes with this little tool. So we're just going to use that to hold the wheel on before we install it, and just to make sure that we can access the lug holes, which we can. Now this little tool is going to act as a wheel stud, so we're going to try to use that to get our wheel on.
After this, you just want to struggle to get your wheel back on, and then just repeat the same process on all four corners. One little piece of advice that I have is make sure that you thread them back in with your hand before you use the gun, just so you don't strip them. And then finally just set your torque wrench and torque them down in a start pattern. And there you have it. Now you can enjoy your new fitment.